Morning, everyone. Welcome to our October 24th Board on Public Safety Standards and Training board meeting. So before we get started, I'm going to read the administrative announcement. It's a public meeting subject to public meeting law, and it will be recorded. Deliberation of issues will only be conducted by board members unless permitted by the chair. Individuals who engage in disruptive behavior that impedes official business will be asked to stop being disruptive or leave the meeting. Additional measures may be taken to have disruptive individuals moved if their continued presence poses a safety risk to the other persons in the room or makes it impossible to communicate. We will start with roll call and introductions, please.
When I call on you, please state your name and who you represent for the record. Chair English.
Matt English, Hood River County Sheriff representing Oregon State Sheriff's Association.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Tanisha Barrett, Beaverton Police representing non-management law enforcement.
Member Bennett.
Martha Bennett, City Manager, City of Lake Oswego, representing the League of Oregon Cities.
And I believe Member Adams is present. Another is Member Caballero Rubio. Member Cameron.
Jennifer Cameron, Lynn County Public Probation representing non-management.
Member Cotting.
Casey Cotting, Superintendent Willis.
Member Daniel.
Mark Daniel, Mount Angel Chief of Police and representing Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police.
Member Fletcher.
Mike Fletcher, Director of Columbia 911, representing Oregon at Covina.
Member Gillespie.
Ryan Gillespie, Fire Chief, Portland Fire and Rescue.
Member Hazenkamp.
Jeremy Hazenkamp, Private Security.
Member Heppel.
Chris Heppel, Deputy Chief, Eugene Springfield Fire, representing the Oregon Fire Chiefs Association.
Member Lenzen. Member Lenzen, can you hear us? Member Lenzen, can you hear us? I don't think you can. Can anyone online hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, Joseph Morno.
Okay. Member Nowning.
Scotty Nowning, City of Salem Police Department, non-management law enforcement.
Member Olson.
Doug Olson, Special Agent in Charge, Portland FBI.
Member Reese.
Mike Reese, representing the Department of Corrections.
I don't know if Member Rowan's here. Member Shearer.
Andrew Shearer, Chief of Police, City of Springfield, representing Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police.
And then Member Young.
Sorry. Mo Young, I'm a community member. It's very foggy on the way up. I live in Lane County.
Yes. I think Member Javier Rubio signed in as well.
Member Caballero Rubio, can you hear us? We're doing introductions.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Maria Caballero Rubio. I am a public member.
Thank you.
Chief Dave, signing on your show.
Okay. And then can we do introductions for people around the room?
Yes, and now for staff introductions. I'll go first. Paul Lopez, Executive Assistant, DPSST.
Shelby Wright, Executive Assistant, DPSST.
Rob Wood, PPC member.
Maureen Susie Harry, DPSST staff. Joanna Ray, DPSST staff. Jennifer Howell, DPSST. Kathy Payne, DPSST. Kayla Ballrat, DPSST. Julie Collins, DPSST. Sam Terry, DPSST.
Audrey Anderson, DPSST.
And Bill Steele.
And Catherine Calvin, DPSST.
Bill Castle, DPSSC.
And Chief Day, I believe, just joined us as well.
Chief Day, we're doing introductions. Can you hear us?
Yeah, Bob Day, Portland Police. Sorry, I'm having some internet issues, so we'll see if I get the camera up here.
And then
Okay.
we have Jennifer Lavario online as well.
Jennifer Lavario, DPSST.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move into approval of minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review our July 25th meeting minutes? Or any additions?
Doing a mic check here.
Yep, loud and clear. Can you hear us okay?
I cannot hear the room.
Are there any additions or changes to the minutes? There are none. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Barrett, I'll move.
Right, we're voting on a motion to approve the July 25th, 2024 meeting minutes. Chair English,
Aye.
Chair Barrett, or Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Bennett,
Aye.
Member Adams, not here. Member Caballero Rubio,
Aye.
Member Cameron,
Aye.
Member Carragher's not here. Member Cotting. Aye. Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Day.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Gillespie. Aye. Member Hazenkamp.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen. Member Morno.
Aye.
Member Downing.
Aye.
Member Reese.
Aye.
Member Scheer.
Aye.
And Member Yeo.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. We will move into the Fire Policy Committee.
So just during our last meeting, canceled earlier in the year. We met again at the end of August to cover a number of things. What's been moved up to this group has just been a proposal rule or change to the Oregon Administrative Rule 259.009.087, which basically what it was is our regional DPSST liaison officers recommended some changes. Those changes have been proposed and moved up. There's a summary of those changes on page 7. And according to the document here, just looking for a review and affirm the recommendations by the policy, and which we did.
Great, thank you. Right, so we'll move into B and require policy, which is the consent agenda. So we have A and B, the OAR that Chair just went over, and then 2 committee appointments. So I'd entertain a motion to adopt or ratify the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, we're voting on a motion to approve the fire consent agenda, items A and B. Chair English,
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett,
Aye.
Member Bennett,
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio,
Aye.
Member Cameron,
Aye.
Member Cotting.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Fletcher,
Aye.
Member Day. Member Gillespie. Aye. Member Hazenkamp.
Aye.
Member. And Member Lenzen. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Yes.
Member Morno.
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Reese.
Aye.
Member Scheer.
Aye.
And Member Yeo.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. We'll move into the Criminal Justice Policy Committees. We'll start with the Police Policy Committee and Chair Nowning.
Thank you. Police Policy Committee met on August 22nd. We reviewed 10 cases for certification. The committee voted to take action on 5 of those 10 cases and no action on 5. And those are included in the consent agenda.
Thank you. We'll move to telecommunications. Chair Fletcher.
Yes, sir. Brief report. We last met August 7th, reviewed 2 admin closures. And that was really it. Our next meeting is November 6th.
Great. And Corrections Policy Committee, we met on August 13th, had 2 administrative closures that were reviewed in 10 cases. Those are before us today, and our next meeting is November 12th. And so we will go to Criminal Justice Consent Agenda. So we are considering letters A through U. So entertain a motion to ratify the Criminal Justice Consent Agenda.
Barrett, I'll move.
Fletcher, I'll second.
All right, we're voting on a measure to approve the criminal justice consent agenda, items A through U. Vice Chair English,
Aye.
or Chair English, Vice Chair Barrett,
Aye.
Member Bennett,
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio,
Aye.
Member Cameron,
Aye.
Member Cotting,
Aye.
Member Daniel,
Aye.
Member Day,
Aye.
Member Fletcher,
Aye.
Member Gillespie,
Aye.
Member Hazenkamp,
Aye.
Member Heppel,
Aye.
Lenzen,
Aye.
Member Morneau,
Aye.
Member Nowning,
Aye.
Member Reese,
Aye.
Member Scherer,
Aye.
and Member Young. Motion carried.
Okay. All right, we will move into, we'll just portion E, proposed rule change for OAR 259012010 and 0120035, presented by Jennifer Howell, DPSST.
Good morning, Jennifer Howell for the record. Thank you. All right. Administrative Rule 259-012-0010 establishes the standards of student conduct, and then Administrative Rule 259-012-0035 outlines the policies and processes for suspending or dismissing a student who violates the standards of student conduct. When a dismissal occurs, the current rules and processes require two things. DPSST professional standards staff must open a case, and the case must be reviewed by the appropriate policy committee before the student can return to training at the academy. If allowed to return to training at the academy, the student loses credit for any of the basic training that they completed before their dismissal, and they must start their training over. Anytime a student is dismissed from the academy for a violation of the standards of conduct, that dismissal has the potential to affect the student's ability to be employed as a public safety officer and to be certified by DPSST. In recognition of this impact, it's important to ensure that the rules contain the appropriate path of review and due process. DPSST recently reviewed these rules, as well as our internal procedures related to student dismissals. In reviewing the current standards and processes, one concern that DPSST had in mind is that the current and automatic outcomes for a student dismissal create circumstances that force some agencies into a situation where they have to terminate the student's employment. DPSST recognizes that the length of time it takes to complete the discretionary moral fitness violation review and the requirement to restart the basic training course in its entirety have a significant impact on the employing agency's operations, including staff scheduling and budget. As a result, DPSST developed recommended rule changes with three primary goals. First, there are amendments to the standards of conduct, and those support the enforcement of our student rules and regulations, just marrying the two documents together, the standalone rules and regulations, which are policy, and the administrative rule, which outlines particularly egregious misconduct. The recommended changes also give the department more discretionary authority when determining when to take action for dismissal and how to reinstate students back to training. And then finally, the administrative rule recommended changes include more specific appeal processes and actions that the director's office can take. I'd like to take some time to provide an overview of the rule changes, but please feel free to ask questions at any time. On page 2 of the memo, that includes Administrative Rule 259-12-1, and that's for reference only. There are no amendments to this rule, but it's important to note that the rule provides definitions that apply to this division, and based on these definitions, the rules that are in Division 12 are specific to the criminal justice disciplines. So these rules only apply to police officers, corrections officers, parole and probation officers, our OLCC regulatory specialists, telecommunicators, and emergency medical dispatchers when they are attending training at the academy. Page 3 of the memo includes those recommended changes for rule number 10, which is the standards of student conduct. The amendments to this rule focus on creating that stronger link between the rules and regulations and the standards of conduct. I was just going to highlight a few of those recommended changes. That is C, which is amending the category and definition of cheating to academic dishonesty. E, F, and G are adding conduct that threatens or harms the health or welfare of another person, compromises the integrity of training, or impedes the delivery or participation in training. All of those are already included in the rules and regulations and identified in that document as a major violation. So I felt it was important to add them to the administrative rule as well. And then in H, we're updating that language about being intoxicated while participating in training. Next, on page 5, we've provided the plain language version of the rule changes for Rule 35, which are those processes for the suspension or dismissal. Because of the extensive changes in reorganization, it was going to be cleaner to give you a plain language copy, and then it's followed later after that with the current rule, so you had that for reference. So continuing the overview, sections 1 and 3 are addressing the suspension processes. The new part is that section 2 adds recognition for safety violations. A safety violation can cause an immediate suspension of training, but it doesn't always include a misconduct issue. And this addition creates a path to make sure that those stay separate. Section 3 maintains our current processes when a student is suspended due to the alleged violation of standards of conduct. Section 4 maintains the current process of conducting an investigation when there is a violation or an alleged violation of student conduct. Generally speaking, DPSST's training division conducts the investigation and makes the determination that the conduct is a violation of the standards of conduct. Our current processes result in a student dismissal if there's a sustained finding. So what you'll see is section 4D adds discretion to this investigatory process and allows training division to identify and consider aggravating and mitigating circumstances that will inform the decision to dismiss the student and set conditions on their return to training. Section 5 maintains the current processes for the dismissal action, and 5B includes that reference to the discretion in the process. So what is the training division's discretion? Going back to 4D, if the department's investigation results in sustained findings of a violation, upon considering those aggravating and mitigating circumstances, the department may impose conditions on the student's reinstatement up to and including dismissing the student. So the training division could, with the investigation and with the circumstances, find that the suspension has been sufficient to balance the conduct and then allow the student to return to training, but could still impose additional conditions such as not returning to the class that they were suspended or dismissed from, but returning to a later class. Let's see. And those conditions are outlined in section 6. Just special attention to section 6C, which highlights that DPSST wants to coordinate scheduling for reinstatement with the employer because it does have an impact on their operations as well. Finally, it is section 7 that expands the student's opportunity to appeal a dismissal action. And that has been outlined and expanded upon. Our current administrative rule doesn't include the level of detail. So we found that that was absent and important to adopt as policy through the rule process. The ultimate goal is to recognize that violations of student conduct are not one size fits all, and that when a dismissal occurs, there can be an opportunity for the student to return to training on a path that has a less adverse impact on the employing agency. Page 12 of your memo provides the fiscal impact statements for the proposed rule changes. To summarize, there are costs that are inherent to DPSST, the student, and the employer when there's a violation of the standards of conduct, and that violation results in suspension or dismissal. But these are known pre-existing fiscal impacts, and the rule changes are not expected to have any new or increased cost for any party. Thank you for your time. Director Castle, did you want to add anything, or?
Phil Castle for the record. So there's been multiple situations since I've been here where the one-size-fits-all rule that we have just didn't seem appropriate for the conduct of the student and what happened. And there's really no options. There are There are, we just had one in fact, there are circumstances where a student is suspended for conduct, and rightfully so. They should be suspended for particular conduct. But then, should they be dismissed? And perhaps, but that dismissal may not be something that should terminate their career. But in many cases, their careers are ending because of a dismissal, because they are required under the current rule to come in front, a case has to be opened, and they must come in front of this board to be adjudicated. That process takes months, and many law enforcement organizations can't afford to hold on to that employee while that process takes place. And in some cases, you know, in my experience and having watched PPC and the board processes, that student would not likely lose their certification or even face, you know, a case coming in front of PPC, but they did violate a rule in the academy that should have got them suspended. So this is the reason, high-level reason for this rule change. We've had these cases where our hands and my authority as the director are just tied. And we have an employment problem for law enforcement, and we have the opportunity to save a student, keep somebody employed that, you know, likely would not lose their certification. This is the reason for this rule change.
Any questions for Jennifer, the director?
Scotty Downing for the record. Just as a matter of policy, or does the student have an advocate during this at all? Are they entitled to an advocate, or is it just the student against the, when they just go up by themselves, or do they have someone there, not necessarily an attorney, but I'm saying maybe like our folks are in their union as soon as they're hired and they're paying union dues, are they entitled to some sort of representation during that, so they don't make a decision that may be without education of how things work?
I'm going to let Jennifer answer per the rule, and then I'll answer what has historically happened with me.
Appreciate that.
For the appeals, Jennifer Howell for the record, for the appeals process, we've added to the administrative rule that the student can have a representative, I think up to 2 representatives with them. And that could include legal counsel, it could include the employer. So that has been built into the appeal process. However, I can't speak to the investigatory process. So I'll let you.
Probably ask us.
Yeah, Captain Calpine for the record. Generally during the investigation, it's, you know, here, it's on scene. The class coordinators or whoever's assigned is going to be looking into the conduct that falls under our rules. And it's usually an expedited, but there have been occasions where they've needed to seek out, you know, contact somebody in the department, and at times they're legal, but definitely in the appeal process, we've had a variety of from attorneys to the actual chief of police coming on behalf of the student.
Okay. And I guess my concern is, are they compelled to provide a statement initially? Will they feel like they're compelled to provide a statement? And, you know, is there any protections for that? And maybe I'm getting off topic, but I can see a student who doesn't necessarily know what the implications are of this investigation that's happening, saying things that maybe they shouldn't, or whatever, getting themselves involved in a situation, or flat out resigning maybe when they don't need to. So we can have an offline conversation. Thank you.
And then Phil Castle for the record. So in my experience so far, I've had a handful of these occur in my experience, and there's been, as Kathy stated, we've had everyone from attorneys to chiefs of police accompany them when they're appealing, right? When they actually come to the appeal.
But the appeal, they're already out, though. Is that correct? Or does the appeal happen before they're dismissed?
No, they're on suspension.
Okay.
So they're not officially dismissed until after the appeal.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, if they're hearing none, there's 3 action items we need to consider. So by discussion and consensus, we need to approve or amend the fiscal impact statement that's outlined by Jennifer. Is there consensus to approve? Seeing head nods, not hearing any dissenters, so we've got consensus on that. Number 2, by motion and vote, approve the amendments for OAR 259-012-0010 and 259-012-0035. These approvals will authorize the department to file these amendments as proposed rule changes for the public and constituent comment. If there aren't any substantial comments, the department will file the amendments as permanent rule changes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we're voting on a motion to approve the proposed rule changes for OAR 259-012-0010 and OAR 259-012-0035 as presented by Jennifer Howell. Chair English?
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett?
Aye.
Member Bennett?
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio?
Aye.
Member Cameron?
Aye.
Member Cotting?
Aye.
Member Daniel?
Aye.
Member Day?
Aye.
Member Fletcher?
Aye.
Member Gillespie?
Aye.
Member Hazenkamp?
Aye.
Member Heppel?
Aye.
Member Lenza?
Aye.
Member Morneau?
Aye.
Member Nowning?
Aye.
Member Reese?
Aye.
Member Scherer?
Aye.
And Member Young?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Then action item number 3, by motion and vote, approve the filing the amendments for OAR 259-012-0010 and 259-012-0035 as temporary rules so the department can implement these changes as soon as possible.
For the record, would this be post public comment? Or would this be concurrent with public comment? And then if we get something back that's like, whoa, pump brake before we're
Thank you, Jennifer Howell, for the record, and I apologize for skipping that part of my overview for the temporary rules. So because we have these changes in place and we've recognized that there are impacts and issues, we wanted to request permission to file temporary rules, making them effective as soon as possible, as soon as practicable. So that means that we would make the temporary rules, they would be in effect. And after they've been put into effect, we would file the proposed rule change, gather the public comment, and if there are any comments and any changes that need to be considered, we would make those considerations before adopting any permanent changes. Comments usually result in coming back to the board for approval.
And Kathleen Kaufman for the record, and that really is just recognizing that students are on campus as we speak now, and we want to ensure that this more broad in scope, if something were to happen tomorrow, the next day, going into next week, while this temporary process is going on, we could then act under this scope as opposed to the whole one.
Additional questions? So looking for a motion on action item 3.
I will make the motion to approve action item 3.
Cameron, I'll second.
All right, we're voting on a motion to approve action item 3 and file the proposed rule changes as recommended by the board. Chair English?
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett?
Aye.
Member Bennett?
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio?
Aye.
Member Cameron?
Aye.
Member Cotting?
Aye.
Member Daniel?
Aye.
Member Day?
Aye.
Member Fletcher?
Aye.
Member Gillespie?
Aye.
Member Hazenkamp?
Aye.
Member Heppel?
Aye.
Member Lenzen?
Aye.
Member Morneau?
Aye.
Member Nowning?
Aye.
Member Reese?
Aye.
Member Scherer?
Aye.
And Member Young?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to number 5 on the agenda, Private Security Investigator Policy Committee, and Chair Linzen for the updates.
October 15th, the Private Security Investigators Policy Committee met to discuss fee increases. Jennifer, how can expand on all of this then?
pass. Okay, is that all the update, Chair?
Say it again.
Does that conclude your update?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we will move to B, which is the proposed rule changes for OER 259-059-0070, 060-0500, 061-0010.
Thank you. Jennifer Howell for the record. Today, we're here to discuss fee increases for the private professional certification and licensing program. DPSST administers 3 regulatory programs that are fee-based. That's the Private Security Provider Certification and Licensure, Private Security Entity Licensure, and Private Investigator Licensure. As fee-based programs, the fees that are collected are used to pay for the department's costs to administer the program. The fee-based regulatory programs do not receive any other funding from the state, such as the general fund, lottery fund, federal funds, or other funds. Personnel services, which include salary, employee salary and benefits, make up more than 90% of the administrative costs. Other administrative costs include supplies, travel, technology, rent, and legal services. Fees for each certification and license are based on the estimated number of applicants for that specific type of certification or licensure, and the programmatic cost for issuing the license or certification and ensuring compliance with the regulations. And regulations are found in both Oregon Revised Statute and Administrative Rule. DPSST consistently monitors the revenues and the program expenses to maintain a healthy budget. DPSST was tracking that there would be a probable fee increase during the 25-27 biennium, so the next biennium. We're currently in 23-25 biennium. However, beginning in June and July of this year, our projections started to show that our balances would be depleted much faster than anticipated due to unprecedented changes to program expenses. As a result, DPSST is facing a revenue shortfall for the remainder of the 2023 and 25 biennium, so our current biennium. And that affects all 3 of those regulatory programs. These programs have been impacted by a significant increase in cost for personnel services, and those costs for personnel services will continue to impact the 25-27 biennium budget. Each program also has unique budget considerations in addition to those personnel services. And your memo outlines each program and highlights special considerations for the specific fee increases. In developing the recommended fee amounts, DPSST's goal was to provide adequate revenue to maintain our current service levels in 23 and 25 and carry those current service levels through the next biennium in 25-27. Pages 2 and 3 of your memo address the license fee for the private security entity license. This is a 1-year license. DPSST's recommended fee increase will change the fee from $624 to $936. The entity license is a new regulatory program that became operative January 1st. The $624 annual license fee that was originally adopted was based on an estimated or anticipated group of 1,000 applicants. Now that the program has been in place for several months, the actual number of entities has been found to be closer to 500 to 600 applicants. So that significantly reduced number of applicants is the primary driver for this fee increase. On pages 4 and 6 of the memo, those address the certification and license fees for the individual private security providers. Private security providers include those individual professionals like the armed and unarmed private security professionals, managers, and instructors. Each of these certifications and licenses are issued for a 2-year period. The primary drivers for these recommended fee increases are those increased personnel costs and legal costs that the program has experienced. The recommended fee increases are a minimum of 20% per certification and license type, and some increases are more than 20% based on costs or factors that are unique to that certification and license. And the details are included in your memo, and staff will be happy to answer any questions on those. Page 7 of the memo addresses the license fee for private investigators. Each investigator license is issued for 2 years. Your printed memo shows that the recommended fee increase for a private investigator license and the proposed rule changes are showing that to be from $550 to $660. However, after the PSIPC and the board memos were distributed, DPSST determined that the investigator license will need to be increased from $550 to $690, which is a total of a $140 increase. If the license fee is not increased to the $690, that higher amount, the investigator licensure program will still come up short before the end of the 25-27 biennium, and we want to try to be sure to get through that. DPSST also presented this amended recommendation to the PSIPC. The primary factors for the investigator fee increase are the recent increases in personnel costs, combined with long-term cumulative inflation of operational costs over time, since this program has never had a fee increase before. Next, I'd like to review the discussions and recommendations from the Private Security and Investigator Policy Committee meeting. They met on October 15th, which was just last week, so that wasn't available for publishing in your memo. First, to note that the private investigator and the private security provider fees are established by the board in collaboration with the PSIPC. DPSST presented the fee increases and the supporting rule changes and asked the PSIPC to vote on the recommended changes. First, the PSIPC voted 8-2 on a recommendation that the board approve the amended private investigator fee increase and rule changes. Next, the PSIPC voted 5-5 on the recommendation that the board approve the private security provider fee increases and rule changes. In that third component, the private security entity fees are established by DPSST. So the fees were shared with PSIPC informationally and for opportunity to discuss fiscal impacts, but they were not asked to vote on those rules. All right. The PSIPC expressed concerns that the fee increases for the 2-year private investigator license were disproportionately higher than the increases for the 2-year private security provider certifications and licenses because of that lump sum increase of $140. There are several factors that affect this. First, the private security program had incremental fee increases in the past. They had fee increases in 2011 and in 2022. Whereas the private investigator fees are still the same fee that was adopted in 2006 whenever it transferred from the Oregon Board of Investigators to DPSST. Second, there are far fewer investigator applicants, meaning that the program costs are shared by fewer licensees. There are around 700 investigators where there are upwards of 20,000 private security providers. Okay. In another area of discussion, PSIPC asked if the private investigator and private security provider fee increases could be implemented on a temporary basis. Their discussion for a temporary fee increase was to authorize the fees to meet the immediate shortfall and allow time to explore additional budget and program changes that could be implemented to reduce the need for the fee increases in the long term. In part, their concern was that the fee increase seemed to come up suddenly and that there had not been time to evaluate other options. The fee change process, which is coordinated through the Department of Administrative Services and the legislature, does not easily support a temporary fee change, and DPSST's current projections show that additional fee increases may be needed in the future, again in the 27-29 biennium. But in recognition of the PSIPC discussions and concerns, staff committed to sharing more about the program's budget processes, including sharing the assessment of the fees and the budget projections in early 2026, when the agency is preparing the budget again for the 27-29 biennium. Staff will also ensure that there is time in the committee's future agenda items to review the comments and related program needs and potential changes that they were bringing up during that discussion of the fiscal impacts and the program. Okay, page 8-10 of the memo includes the fiscal impact statements, and based on the PSIPC discussions, the following comments will be added to the fiscal impact statements that are noted in the memo. As small businesses, fee increases affect the business expenses and reduce funds available for other small business costs such as insurance and taxes. Applicants for individual private security professional certifications may be part-time employees or have entry-level wages, making it harder to cover the increased cost of the certification. Applicants that have multiple private security provider certifications and licenses will be further impacted by the compound effect of multiple fee increases. Increasing the private security instructor certification fees may result in higher training costs that are passed on to those individual professional applicants who need the training in order to get their professional certification. That's the recap of the rules, and then the PSIPC discussion from last week. In your memo is the department's recommendation. The department recommends that the board approve the fee increases and the proposed rule changes for private security entities and private security providers, as well as the amended fee increase to $690 and the proposed rule changes for the private investigators. Those fee increases are necessary to ensure that the program has the revenue to cover costs in this biennium and carry us into the next biennium. Just a brief statement on what happens next. If the board is to approve the fee increases and the rule changes, DPSST will begin the public comment process. And after the close of the public comment period, we'll package all of that information up as constituent feedback and our application to the Department of Administrative Services to have the fee change approved. If DAS approves the fees, then DPSST estimates implementing the fees on or around February 1st of 2025. We could begin collecting the fees through that process, and then they go through a final additional ratification by the legislature in the 25 session. Thank you for your time. That is all of the information, but staff are available to answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. Director Castle, Susan, do you have anything additional on this? Any questions?
Chair English, I have a question. Mike Reese for the record. Is there a mechanism moving forward that DPSST, as part of the budget process, will review the fee structure to make sure that it's an incremental increase through the budget process as opposed to waiting years and then a significant increase in fees that may drive some small businesses out of the market?
Susie, do you want to?
Sure. Actually, Joanna Wade, for the record, we've committed to reviewing this during the budget bill before each biennium's budget is due, and reviewing it and going over with the committee every biennium.
I had some comments regarding the entity. Like there was a lot of discussion in there in regards to the larger corporations sharing their fair share. There's some out-of-state corporations that have a large presence in the security industry, and the security industry is set to do a 550% increase over the next 5 years with what's going on in law enforcement. And some of these large corporations, a lot of times, are pushing the fees back down to the employees. And so, since the board does set the entity licensing fee, there was discussion about an out-of-state offering up an out-of-state entity licensing fee, and potentially, ones over a certain number of employees, because ultimately they are going to use more of staff's time in going through and reviewing the entity licenses and whatnot. So I just wanted to make that comment in regards to entity licensing, since the board does set those fees.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move into our first action item. So by discussion and consensus, approve or amend the fiscal impact statements, including the additions that were presented today. Is there consent or any requested amendments? See consent. All right. Action item number 2, by motion and vote, approve the recommended fee increases and rule changes, including the amended fee amount for the investigator license.
Mike Fletcher for the record. I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
All right. right, we're voting on a motion to approve the proposed rule changes as amended for OAR 259-059-0070, 259-060-0500, and OAR 259-061-0010 as presented by Jennifer Howell, Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Bennett.
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Cotting.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Day.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Gillespie.
Aye.
Member Hazenkamp.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen.
Aye.
Member Morneau.
Aye.
Member Nowning.
Aye.
Member Reese.
Aye.
Member Sheriff.
Aye.
And Member Young.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And then we've got letter A, big A, under private security, which is the consent committee appointments. There's one on there, so entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Barrett, I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All right, we're voting on a motion to approve the private security investigators policy committee appointments. Item A. Chair English.
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrett.
Aye.
Member Bennett.
Aye.
Member Caballero Rubio.
Aye.
Member Cameron.
Aye.
Member Cotting.
Aye.
Member Daniel.
Aye.
Member Day.
Aye.
Member Fletcher.
Aye.
Member Gillespie.
Aye.
Member Hazenkamp.
Aye.
Member Heppel.
Aye.
Member Lenzen.
Aye.
Member Morneau.
Aye.
Member Nowning. Member Reese.
Aye.
Member Sheriff.
Aye.
And Member Young.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into agency updates. Director Castle.
Bill Castle for the record, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today and talk to you all. First thing I wanted to acknowledge this board is our former chair, Jason Myers, is no longer with us, and I just wanted to honor him for a moment here in this place. I only knew him for just about a year, spent quite a bit of time with him, and really appreciate in just my short time what he did for both this agency, the service as a whole, and how he gave of himself all the time. So I just wanted to acknowledge that first. A lot of things going on at DPSST. We have just completed a reorganization. Most of you, last time we were at this board, you all met Bill Steele, who now is our permanent deputy of the agency right now. So we have also appointed a chief of staff. Sitting right next to Bill Steele is Audra Anderson, our chief of staff. And our reorganization moved some things around a little bit. All training now falls underneath the deputy, underneath Bill Steele. He has all training. He also has our business services section, which is where our CFO resides. So our deputy is now overseeing that section as well. Audra Anderson is overseeing facilities, HR, procurement, and IT. There were no changes to our professional standards division. That still reports up to me, as well as our PIO. Those are the real large piece movements that have happened. Just want to make sure the board was aware of that. You know who the people are sitting along the back row there. Happy to answer any questions on any of that. Anybody has any? Okay. I want to talk a little bit about, we are deep into our state budgeting process right now, and we are looking very hard and strategically at our 25-27 scheduling. I think I briefed before that we're looking at the way we schedule differently now. We scheduled based on what we were funded before. We are now scheduling based on what we see coming in the future. Our Center for Policing Excellence has a data team, And that data team, in conjunction with our PIO, does a survey to all 206 law enforcement agencies across the state every year to find out what the hiring process is going to be and what the projections are going to be for each agency. We work really hard to communicate with those agencies. We make many points of contact with them to remind and encourage to respond back, and we get a pretty good response rate on that. And that has given us some really clean, accurate data over the last several years that has been very close to spot on, which is a really good benefit for us to be able to have this projection. So for 25-27, we are projecting around 1,040 BP students, basic police students. That is as much as over the last 2 years. So we see no change in our turnover rate. The good news is we don't see an increase. It's sort of holding level. What we are scheduling to run 1,080. So we are putting on our schedule to train 1,080 BP students. And we're doing this because we'd rather cancel a class than try to fit a class in, which always causes chaos, could potentially generate safety issues or capacity issues, instructor issues, so forth. We normally train about 400 corrections students every 2 years. We are scheduling for 480. Some of you may know that 4002 has had an impact on corrections and the need for more corrections, as well as parole and probation. We usually run 1 or 2 parole and probation courses every biennium. Now we're running 5. And that has got us super tight. That schedule is really, really tight. You've heard me say this before, our rivets are popping right off the sides of these buildings to run these numbers, but by projecting this way and by scheduling out, we can arrange for the instructors, we can arrange for the classrooms. We've done some pretty strategic modification of our classroom spaces and so forth to be able to accommodate these larger classes. Many of you remember we did a pilot for our 60-person classes. That pilot was pretty successful. That 60-person class is going to become a staple of this academy while these volumes are where they are. So we are going to do one again in January. And in 25-27, we are scheduling to have one 60-person course on the campus at all times. We do 4 at a time, so one of those 4 will always be a 60-person course. And by doing that, it's going to allow us to achieve the volumes that we need to do. We are also going to continue our partnership with the State Patrol. Really appreciate Superintendent Cotting's partnership on that. He's been very, very supportive. We've got a great partnership happening here. And we're also working with Chief Day, thank you, Chief, on that particular course. And moving those 2 folks out of the general population, meaning those 2 agencies, into this one class is really effective at opening up more seats for the rest of the agencies and keeping us well within our statutory obligation, which is training within 90 days of hire. And we are still there, by the way. Telecom, our volumes of telecom have increased. So we are increasing the number of classes. We're working with OEM, who is our fund source for telecom training, and we're scheduling to do 12 telecom classes in 25-27 to keep up with those volumes. Let's see. BCL, I want to talk about BCL for a second. The volume of BCL that is going up, basic corrections training, that is going up, we're having a challenge. We are needing to schedule sometimes BCL classes that overlap. And when that happens, some of our sheriff's agencies or our jails and so forth struggle to fill those classes. So as an example, we just started a BCL course that is half full. That is super problematic. Do not like to waste and have empty seats. It is a waste of resources to do that. I'm not pointing fingers at agencies. Agencies are trying to keep their jail wings open, and and I totally understand that Bill Steele has been working closely with those agencies to try and figure a way through this problem and how we can make sure that we're filling those courses and so forth. But I just wanted to flag that for the board, that that is a challenge. It's never good to start a class half full. And so that is something that the Academy is working through right now to try and problem solve. I'm going to ask Kayla Allwatt to give an update on fire. There's a ton of great stuff going on in the fire division right now, and if you wouldn't mind giving us an update.
Absolutely. Kayla Ballrock for the record. I'm the fire program manager. Like Director Castle said, we have a lot of great stuff going on, but I'll kind of give you a few of our highlights. We are going to do a Firefighter 1 Academy here on campus. We haven't done one since 2017. So it's timely, and we will likely have a kickoff date of April. Right now we are determining whether or not we are going to do a couple of weeks, with it being weekdays, or over several weeks during weekends. The benefit of the weekend training is potentially more volunteer firefighters are able to join as opposed to the weekdays, which would likely be career firefighters. So we're working with fire departments to determine who would likely send a firefighter here to take the training, and then determine, which days the majority would prefer. So working on that right now, so more to be determined about kind of which days we will be doing that training. We're also working in conjunction with the law enforcement training side of things, the regional side, to do a 5 corners plan. I think I mentioned that last board meeting. I have a little bit more details now. So essentially this will be training all over Oregon, throughout Oregon in 2025, and it will be joint with law enforcement and fire, which will be great training. But we are likely looking at a kickoff in Coos Bay area in February or March. That is shaping up to be a 2-day active threat training and a 1-day forcible entry training with our forcible entry prop. So essentially, we'll kind of take the lead. The fire division will take the lead on the forcible entry training, and the law enforcement will take the lead on active threat, but it'll all be joint training for both law enforcement and fire in the area. And so just kind of be on the lookout also for similar trainings throughout Oregon, kind of depending on what each area needs and what their wants are for that. But yeah, likely a kickoff in Coos Bay, so we're excited about that. It's shaping up to be a pretty good 3-day training. We will have Winter Fire School on campus at the end of February. This is an annual training that we do. We have upwards of 300 firefighters each year here on campus to do that Winter Fire School training. It's a 2-day thing. We have kind of anything from hands-on entry-level training to developmental training for fire chiefs. So it kind of runs the gamut on the kind of variety of training that we offer. And right now, I mean, we just opened registration a few weeks ago, and we've got almost 200 firefighters signed up. So it'll be a busy weekend for us, like it is every year. Always look forward to that, to kind of offer that to the fire service, and we always offer free lodging and breakfast and lunch as well. So very low minimal cost to the fire service. Kind of along those same lines, we are seeing a lot of increase on firefighters on campus here. A lot of fire departments are really interested in just the kind of permanent props and things that we have located here on campus. Most of our training does still occur regional, just because Oregon is very large. It is very difficult for firefighters to, come from Eastern or Southern Oregon all the way to the campus here. But the great news is that we always welcome them. We have free lodging, and a lot of fire departments are interested in coming here. And we really have seen a huge increase in training here on campus. The last thing I'll mention, more on the certification side, we will have quite a few updates for you all in the upcoming board meetings. The national standard that we follow for our training and certifications is doing some major updates. So they've already updated many standards that we're kind of working through right now, and they're planning to update several more standards going into 2025, 2026, 2027. So we're working slowly through those. It's a huge overhaul for our program, and we usually start that kind of process by getting a group of firefighters together that are content experts in each individual field that we will be doing updates for. So we started with the firefighter task force a few months ago, and you'll see those updates in your next board meeting and so on and so forth, with any other updates to come in several meetings after that. So be on the lookout for that, and if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the fire program. That is the end of my report, unless there is any questions.
I said a couple more things, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kathy McAlpine. One, I want to thank all the board members for being here. Really appreciate that. Those online too. This is a huge commitment of time. All of you have really busy schedules and jobs of your own, and to take this on and to commit the effort that you have to this, I really appreciate it. And I know the public does as well. And I wanted to recognize our professional standards division, our CJ criminal justice division, and our private security division. Within, there is so much work that goes into these boards and policy committees, and they are being, they've done so much work to prepare for this, and they are led by an absolute 10 in Kathy McAlpine, who's done a phenomenal job. So really appreciate you, and turn it over to you. And I will stand by for questions if you have them after Kathy briefs.
Thank you, Director. Again, Kathy McAlpine for the record. I too want to give both Susie and Kathy just a minute or two to highlight. You have a robust report out in your packet so that you can kind of absorb it, but there's a very unique every 4 years when we have Olympic track and field trials. So I just want to have Susie just talk about what that impact looks like and kind of the boots on the grounds that we had there. And then I'm going to have Kathy just really talk about the going out in the field again to a couple of our tribal agencies, but also attending the APTO conference to again give that personal touch of dispelling the myths around CJ. So Susie, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Susie Herring for the record. This year, as mentioned with Jennifer's presentation, that entity licensees was new to our program. And that is the business actually obtaining a license. And those businesses that provide private security have to obtain a license, and those that contract with them have to ensure that they've had that license. And in the past years for the U.S. Olympic track trials, DPSST is connected with Tracktown down in Eugene. And it became apparent that we hadn't heard from them this year. And so I had reached out to Tracktown and found out who they were contracting with. And unfortunately, at that time, that entity was not licensed. And so I grabbed my team together and connected with the chief of the police down there of the university. And we took several compliance trips down there and met with their company, their staff. We worked with their employees to get their certifications. There's an online certification for event and entertainment. So we had upwards of 300 individuals that were taking this training in a short period of time. I have a technology expert on our team, and he worked many, many hours walking them through, getting them directions on just logging in and directing them how to take the exam. And I had a great team of compliance specialists that went down there with us and met for quite a few hours, about 3 or 4 days of our time down there. So it was very successful. We did get them licensed. We did get individuals licensed. And there's some violations that come out of that too. So we'll be dealing with those shortly. But it was a positive thing for my team. So that was exciting this year.
Yeah, and they did a phenomenal unit, received accommodation, but safety. We just wanted to ensure that the athletes, the family supporting the community is all about safety, that they have quality security, and so it was Susie, the director, and I just ensuring, because this was kind of like a first for all of us to make sure, but we again leaned in on ensuring that the event could go on and everybody could be safe. And then again, lastly, educate and hold people accountable. So again, I thought that was important for the board to know that. And then Kathy, do you have a brief update on that?
Kathy Fink for the record. The criminal justice team has been spending some extra time building kind of not really trainings, but more informational type presentations that we've been able to go around different parts of the state, virtual, that kind of a thing, just to help educate more on the certification process. And we've added a lot more toward the moral fitness pieces because we're just recognizing that there's a lot of questions coming in, trying to figure out how to update our website some more to maybe answer the questions before needing to call in and ask questions. So that's kind of a work in progress, but we did have an opportunity just recently to go to, part of the team went to Bend and did a presentation at the Oregon Academia conference. Got some great feedback from them on just having that in-person kind of contact to ask all those questions that kind of come up on the regular, and some great discussion. And they had an opportunity to talk about things that they can see that we need. So now we're working on what we can do to try to help make this.
Thank you. And last but not least, I want to be respectful of the time. The Moral Fitness Work Group met again, so it's been a little over a year. We met last week. We covered applicant review committee process and also our complaint processes. When we receive them, how do we send them out to the different agencies and the accountability on that. So, and Jennifer Howe has been phenomenal in keeping track of that. We'll circle back and kind of take the year's body of work and see what recommendations come out of that. But a lot of great work and commitment by those who have been part of that work group. And for that, Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Good.
Just want to answer any questions if anyone has them.
Adding this for the record, I would also just wanted to thank you for the comprehensive report that was in our packet. That was super helpful as well. So you gave a great overview of what's going on. So there's a lot. Just appreciate that. All right.
Chair, can I have one
Yes.
please? Again, sorry, Captain Calvin, for the record. Just a reminder, I think I said it last time, but we do have 2 board positions open. One from the DA office representation and the other from DOC asked me still need that. It's on our website, but if we could, one, you want to correct me?
Oh, no, I was just going to mention that Member Day has their hand raised.
Yep.
Okay, so anyway, just again, looking for recommendations. If you have somebody in mind and you can connect me with them and I can answer any questions and talk about what that extra duty lift would be, happy to do so. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Member Day, did you have something to say?
I just wanted to say thanks to the team and the staff. I get asked all the time around hiring if there's any issues or challenges with DPSST, and it's been so encouraging to be able to share with folks the steps that the governor and Phil and the team have taken to make that part of the pipeline so much more efficient and available. I just wanted to say thanks again. That it gives me a lot of confidence as I'm pushing to increase staffing and recruitment, et cetera. So nice job.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks. If there's no additional questions or comments, I just wanted to recognize our new board members and thank you for being here. And this is a commitment. It's important work, so really appreciate it. Stepping up to do that. And our next meeting is in January, the 23rd. All right. That concludes our meeting. The end.